All right, in this video, I want to talk about how to do a proper lean bulk. Now, first order of business, we're coming into fall here, and this is such a good time to get focused on putting on strength, on putting on muscle. In the summer, people want to stay really lean, so they don't want to bring those calories as high, and for good reason. They're going outside, they're wearing tank tops, they're going to pool parties, and they want to have the abs. And furthermore, in the summer, usually there's a lot more drinking and partying and barbecues, so that can limit your ability to pack on muscle and strength if you're drinking and partying a lot, of course. And furthermore, in the fall, you're wearing more sweaters and jackets, so it's nice to put on some size. And in the fall, you get all the holidays. You have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, so on and so forth. So those holidays, it's really hard to diet during the holidays because you get so much food, and why would you want to diet? You want to enjoy life. So fall, especially October, November, December, is such a good time to do a lean bulk. So let's get into the specifics of how to do a proper lean bulk. The first order of business that we need to talk about is hitting the right calorie intake. A lot of people, there's really two different camps people kind of fall into. Some people, they go into bulk and they think they can eat whatever they want. They think they eat so much food. The reality is that cutting and bulking, the food intake isn't that much different. For example, let's say you're someone that burns 2,500 calories per day. On a cut, you might be doing 2,000 calories, right? And then when you're doing a lean bulk, it might just be 2,700. Now that might seem like a huge difference, 2,000 to 2,700 calories, but when you get down to brass tacks, adding 700 calories to your diet is not as much as you think. It's not like this crazy all out, I'm bulking, just give me food, because I could easily put down 6,000 calories a day. So the reality is you want to treat lean bulking almost like cutting. You don't want to just throw your inhibitions to the wind and be like, yes, I'm bulking. That's a very, very effective strategy to get fat as shit. You want to be as disciplined when you're lean bulking as when you're cutting. The only difference is you have more room to work with. And that brings me to my next point. For naturals, building muscle is a slow process. As a beginner, someone that's been training for less than 2-3 years, best case scenario, you're packing on a consistent 2 pounds of muscle per month. Now sure, you might have a couple months where you put on maybe 3 pounds of muscle, 3.5, but then it averages out to about 2 pounds of muscle per month. So if you're looking at that from how many calories to eat to produce that 2 pounds, it's really only about an extra 200 calories per day, because there's 3,500 calories in a pound of fat, but in muscle, I think it's more around 2,500. So you're really only looking at eating an extra 200 calories per day. That's not that, compared to your maintenance, that's not that much, right? That's not that much. A lot of people try and overeat by 500 or 1,000 calories, and then they get very, very fat. Interesting enough, a little side tangent, people that have very, very fast metabolisms, when they overeat their calories, when they go above maintenance, they actually have this effect where their metabolism ramps up. So when they eat 500 calories more than they typically do to maintain their weight, their metabolism increases and it cuts into that surplus. But that's not too many people. That's probably a very small subset of the population. Most people have an easy time gaining weight, especially when they get into their mid-20s, their late 20s, their 30s, their 40s. Just something to think about. So first order of business, you need to eat the right amount of calories. So find your maintenance. You want to eat about 200 calories per day above maintenance. Now, you can go higher on your lifting days, a bit lower on your rest days, really to optimize your lifting days and make them as anabolic as possible. So in that case, let's say you're training 3 days a week, you might go 500 calories over, right, on your lifting days, and then on your rest days, you might just eat at maintenance and have that nice kind of effect where you got higher on training days to support all the training and the growth, and rest days, because you're not as active, is a little bit lower. It actually works very well that day. That's how I set up my Greek God program. And if you're doing this properly, you should see pretty awesome results. You should see a consistent strength and muscle gain. Now, don't get too obsessed and tied to your weight, because the reality is the weight's going to change so slowly. Like I said, half a pound a week. That's very, very minimal. So focus more on the strength. Focus more on the progress on your workouts, the performance improvements, than the weight improvements, because I've seen periods of time when my weight kind of stayed around the same, but I looked bigger. And that's pretty much best case scenario, the recomp effect. So as long as the lifts are improving, awesome things are happening. Now, if you've been eating at this, that 200 calorie surplus on average per day for a while, and your weight's not going up and you're getting frustrated, then it's possible you might have to increase your calories even more. bump it up another 200 per day on average. And so it's not like, so the process might work bang on for you, or it might require some calibration. It really depends. Now, as far as how to predict maintenance, my general rule for people that are moderately active and around 7 to 15% body fat, take your body weight in pounds, times it by 15. So if you're 180, times by 15 is 27. So that's your maintenance. You average about 2,900 per day. That is a very, very safe number. Start there. If you want to go a bit higher because you're not really gaining any weight, go a little bit higher, but you will not really see anything in the way of fat gain at that number. If you are seeing fat gain, you must be miscalculating. Simple as that. Now, how much protein do you need? As far as the research, the best amount of protein is really around 0.82 grams per pound of body weight. So if you're 180, that's about 150 grams, you know, somewhere around there. Just do the math. Do 180. Take your body weight times it by 0.82. That is, there's no benefits going higher in protein than that, especially on a bulk when you're eating plenty of calories. If you want to go a little higher than that because you enjoy eating more protein-based foods, you can, but you don't want to be overeating protein because that's going to limit your ability to consume carbs and fats. And both carbs and fats are important in the process. Carbs have a strong insulinogenic effect. They contribute to muscle glycogen. They tip you into an anabolic mode. When your carbs are too low for too long, your body overproduces cortisol, which negates the effects of testosterone. So when you're bulking, you want to be consuming plenty of carbs and a moderate amount of fat. So my kind of stance here is that if you do the math as far as the calories I gave you, you're looking at about 25% protein. If you want to go higher, 30%. You're looking at about 30% fat and the rest from carbs. So that's at least 40 to 45% carbs. This macro ratio is very balanced, very healthy, and it gives you the perfect amount of protein and plenty of carbs to support training. Those are pretty much what you really need to know. Now you can eat a variety of foods that you love. Don't be too neurotic. Just eat the foods that you love sticking to. And of course, when you're bulking, you want to stick to the same kind of foods you're eating when you're cutting. You know, your lean meats, your fruits, your starches, your potatoes, sweet potatoes, and so on and so forth. And fit in other foods you love for fun. That's how it gets done. Now, as far as your training, believe it or not, I've made my best strength and muscle gains keeping my volume fairly low. Whenever I try and do too much training, I actually hit this wall where I'm not getting stronger, and as a result, I'm not getting much bigger. So don't freak out and think that because you're bulking, you need to be in the gym all the time, doing tons of volume, tons of reps. That sort of approach will not give you the best bang for your buck as a natural, because remember, the primary objective as a natural to gain muscle is to achieve progressive overload. And the way we measure that is your strength on your key movements. That is what is going to produce the most consistent, the most tangible muscle growth. It's not working out for 2 hours. It's not exhausting your muscles all the time. It's actually being able to lift more weight with proper form in the 5 to 8 rep range. That is the key. So you want to have your key exercises that you can track over the course of your lean bulk, and then after the 3 months, they should be measurably stronger. So for me, my key list for my bulk, because I'm going to be bulking right now with you, my key list I'm going to use to track progress are, I'm going to do dumbbells. I'm going to focus on dumbbells, just mix it up for the next few months. Are my incline dumbbell presses, my seated dumbbell shoulder presses. I'm not going too heavy on the weighted pull-ups. I'm doing the weighted sternum pull-ups. So I'll be tracking the weighted sternum pull-ups. So because, I want to keep my elbows healthy, I've had some issues doing really, really heavy weighted pull-ups and chin-ups. I'm going to do the sternum pull-up, which is when you pull the bar up to your chest. So you go a little bit lighter in weight. It's a little more controlled. I recommend it when you've gotten really strong on weighted pull-ups and chin-ups. It's fun to switch up to that variation for a few months. So that will be those are my 3 main lifts: incline dumbbell press, seated shoulder press with dumbbells, the sternum pull-up, so 2 pushes to pull, and then for my legs and my posterior chain, I'm going to be building up on my Bulgarian split squats, which I think is an amazing exercise. I prefer them to conventional barbell squatting. I can't go heavy on squatting anymore because I injured my back when I was a teenager, and whenever I start to add the weight, I get a shooting back pain. But I actually find the Bulgarian split squats to be better for Kinobody purposes because you're actually really developing the the VMO, the vastus medialis, which is the teardrop shaped muscle inside the knee. So it gives your legs a really proportioned look. And working on the single leg variations is great for athletic purposes and functionality. You're keeping both sides even. You're working on knee stability. You're working on balance. And the other movement I'm going to be doing is the rack pulls below the knee, which are amazing for the posterior chain. They're going to build your glutes. They're going to build your low back. So those are my 5 key lifts: incline press, shoulder press, the pull-up variation, single leg exercise, Bulgarians, and rack pulls. If I get stronger on those over the next 3 months, if I add, for example, 5 or 10 pounds to my dumbbells per hand on the presses, if I add 15, 20 pounds to the sternum pull-ups, if I add 15 pounds per dumbbell on the Bulgarians, because I can make fast progress on those because I haven't been training my legs as hard, as long, especially this movement. If I add 60, 70 pounds to my rack pulls, I'm going to see incredible progress to my physique. I'm going to look bigger and more muscular. Now the other thing, and this is something that and so you want to be tracking these movements. And when you do too much training, a lot of times it makes it hard to make those gains. A lot of people, their workout programs are way too long. If you come into the gym to add some serious strength, if you're doing too many damn exercises, it's so much harder to make progress. It's way harder. It's exhausting. You can't do it. So I keep my workouts very simple, very focused. Now, of course, those aren't the only exercises that you should be doing, and those aren't the only exercises you should be improving on, but those are the ones that you are really focusing on measuring. Those are your key lifts. Those are the ones you're putting in your spreadsheet. But of course, you're doing other exercises for sure. The other thing I want to talk about is when you do this kind of lower volume, heavy strength training, and you're getting stronger, when you've done that for a couple months, it's fun to mix in 1 month of higher volume training. This is why my Greek God program, I have the mega workouts, the minimum. This is why my Greek God program, I have the mega workouts, the minimum effort growth acceleration training with more volume. When you do that for a short period of time, you get a really amazing, you get a lot of muscle growth really quickly, but if you stay in too much volume for too long, the strength gains stop and you get stuck. So what I found is 8 weeks of really effective strength and density training, followed by 4 weeks of more volume, is an amazing style to kind of mix it up. Plus, here's the cool thing: when you do the really heavy lower volume training, then you do the high volume training for just a short period of time, you experience that muscle growth, that sarcoplasmic muscle growth. Your muscles get fuller, and then when you do the high volume training for a month, your body actually gets better when you go back to low volume, because you've built your body's work capacity up. So when you go down to low volume, you can make good progress. It's a good way to keep the progress coming. Boom. That's pretty much what I want to talk about. Of course, when you're lean bulking, I recommend making your measurements. So for example, if you have a measuring tape, you want to be measuring your waist every morning, and your chest and your arms. Those measurements are important because you can track your progress. And when you measure your waist, it should never go up by more than 1 inch. If your waist goes up by more than 1 inch, that means you probably put on about 5 pounds of fat, which is a lot of fat to put on a lean bulk. So keep that in mind. If you go up more than 1 inch, it means you're eating way too much. And if your waist is staying right around the same and you're gaining weight and strength, that means you're freaking killing it. And that's what most people see when they follow my Greek God program. So finally, that's pretty much all I want to say in this video as far as lean bulking. If you have other things that you want me to talk about, leave your comments in the description. And because I'm doing, it's fall 2017, I'm going to be doing a lean bulk. I'm going to be doing the Greek God program, but I made an advanced version of that. I made the advanced Greek God version, which I will be providing as an upgrade to everyone that has the Greek God program. But if you haven't followed the Greek God program, you can actually join it for a crazy deal if you use the coupon code FALL2017. So hit the link over here, hit the link in the description if you want to join the Greek God program. It has everything you need to do a awesome lean bulk or recomp. It works incredibly. Your strength goes through the roof. And for people that have been following the Greek God program for 4, 5, 6 months, you will be able to join the advanced Greek God program, which I have been doing myself and will be doing for the rest of 2017 to get much bigger and fuller. So let's get it going. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to join my Instagram page. Follow me on Instagram at Grow Gallagher, so you can keep up with me every single day and see my workouts, see what I'm eating, see what I'm doing. and just interact with me and get up my daily tips. So that's it. Take care.